What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Gridiron Podcast. Man, did you hear Coach Carella's speech? That was awesome, man. That guy just gets me so fired up. If you haven't heard it yet, you need to go check it out. He is just an awesome individual. This one is also going to blow you away. It is Inky Johnson, and if you haven't heard of Inky Johnson, he is a motivational speaker. He's a former collegiate athlete at University of Tennessee. He suffered a career-ending injury to his arm. His arm is paralyzed, and he didn't let that hold him back. He does not let that injury define him, and you will hear about it in this speech. If you have not heard of him, you need to go check him out. Look up some of his other YouTube videos. But I'm not going to waste a lot of time here. But if you like this episode, please share it. Hopefully I can get him actually do an IG Live or on the podcast, because I would love to sit down and just ask him some questions. But like I said, not going to hold you back. Let's go ahead and get into this one. It's going to be a good one. Let's go.
Somebody did for them, right? That's drove me my whole life, right? I was an okay athlete, right? I had a level of dedication, commitment, a level of mental fortitude. I was okay as an athlete, but I had some amazing people that I felt grateful that God placed in my life at every phase and stage, and their level of belief in me has fueled me through opposition, through challenges, through adversity, and through what was the darkest, toughest, and roughest moment of my life. Right? Like, I grew up in Atlanta. I'm an Atlanta kid through and through. Grew up in the city. 2-bedroom home, 14 people, born to a mother, 16 years old. Southeast corner of Atlanta. Grew up, everything about it. Seen it all, done it all, loved every bit of it. Wouldn't change a thing about it. Right? But at every phase and stage of my life, I had a coach or somebody that God placed in my life that saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and it fueled my level of belief. Right? Like, I'll never forget, man, when I was a kid. And we had our first pair of Nikes for Christmas. Never forget it. Me and my cousins, we used to race in the street, right? Light pole to light pole. We played football in the street, but we used to race in the street, right? Back when we came up, kids would be outside all night, right? And we would race with no shoes on. Never forget, we got our first pair of Nikes for Christmas. And we couldn't open it until Christmas. And Christmas Eve, me and my cousin were just running back and forth in the room. Like, man, I can't wait until we get our Nikes tomorrow. Like, I'm a beat you in racing. We just keep running back and forth in the room. And I'll never forget, somebody came through our window, broke into our house, and they stole them. Right? And it was the one thing that we had to look forward to on Christmas. And a guy came through our window, and he got him. Right? Robbed us, stole him. And the next morning when we got up, my mother didn't call a pastor at a church. And my mother was in church every Wednesday, Sunday, still in church every Wednesday, Sunday, crazy about the Lord. My mother didn't call a deacon at a church. We're Southern Baptist, church right up the street from the house. My mother didn't call nobody at the church. My mother called my coach. And he showed up in his blue pickup truck. My man didn't have to show up. We weren't his kids. My man could have been like, all right, cool, tough break. And there wouldn't have been anything against him. We wasn't his family. My mother called my man and told him what happened. He showed up. Me and my cousin sitting on the curb in our neighborhood, right across town, sitting on the curb. We sitting there and watching people ride their bikes. Watching people play with their balls. Watching people come out with their skates. And my man pull up in his blue pickup truck. Gets out of the truck, had a brown paper bag like you get from the corner store. And me and my cousin sitting there, and we just looking at each other like, man, like, it's crazy. And he sat down beside us and said, Ink, I'm sorry, man, I got the call late. Like, it's all good. Like, you showed up. Like, you here. Call, cool. You here, though. Like, yeah, but I got the call late. This was all I could do. And in the brown paper bag, I'll never forget it. Coach Lou, he had some drawers and some socks. Right? And my man still buys me drawers and socks till this day on Christmas. I don't need to be. my man, right? That's a coach to me, right? Like, that's a real one to me. Like, I'll fight a bear for him. Like, when we played on this team, me and Thomas Brown, that's the running backs coach for the Rams. We used to run the wishbone, right? I was number 7, he was number 1. And I'll never forget, one day we were at practice, and we're running the same play, and he had a stopwatch. He was standing over on the side, and every time we hit the line of scrimmage, he had a stopwatch, and he would hit it. He would either say, yep, that's it, or no, that's not it. And I'm talking about we on our, like, 21st time running this thing. And I came through the line of scrimmage, I get it, I break through, he hit the stopwatch, nope, that's not it. And we get back in the backfield, I'm like, T-Bone. That's what I call it, Thomas Brown. I'm like, T-Bone. I don't think Coach know what he doing. I ran this thing like 21 times. And he was like, what, Ink? You think I don't know what I'm doing? I've been coaching longer than you've been living. I was like, no, I wasn't saying that. He was like, no, you weren't saying. You don't think I know what I'm doing. I was like, no, I wasn't saying that. He was like, keep running it. Ran like 50 times. And he told us after practice, he said, when you hit the line of scrimmage at the time that I'm telling you, if things go right, I guarantee you it'll be 6. He said, when you don't, you might get 10 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards. But if y'all hit it the way I'm telling you to hit it, it's going to be 6. And when we would run the play in the game, all we would see him do is hold up the stopwatch. When he held up the stopwatch, that was our signal that you hit it at the right time. And whenever he would hold it up, 6. Same coach showed up to my school when I wasn't doing right in class. Like, he didn't just show up on the field. He didn't just show up when I was doing well. Same cat came up to the school when I was underachieving. It was like, Ink, your mom working a double shift at Wendy's. Like, what you doing? Like, you coming from a 2-bedroom home with 14 people. Like, what you doing? Like, you say you want goals, dreams, and aspirations, and God is blessing you with the gift and the talents and the abilities to do it. Like, what you doing? The same coach took me and my 3 younger cousins to a restaurant, and I'll never forget, he got us our first steak. When we ate it, we came back home that night, walked in the house. I'm talking, that's a lot of us growing up in the house. We come in, Grandma like, what's going on? What y'all doing? I'm like, man, coach just got us a steak. That's a coach to me. The same coach was in the hospital when I got my injury. The same coach, when everybody left out of the room at UT Medical, and they left and they went back to do what they were doing because they had to, the same coach stayed in the room with me. And when I was crying and apologizing to him, saying, Coach, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm sorry, I can't pay you back. And I got 6 incisions down my left thigh, 1 incision across the left side of my neck, 1 across the right, twice through my right ribs, cut out my right pec, bottom of my armpit to the bottom of my hand, 350 staples. They had bandaged me from my neck to my knees. The same coach that was in the room was the same coach that found me and my cousins in the street when we were 7 years old, playing tackle football, light pole to light pole. And when my uncle came out of the house, he said, man, I run a program across town. I think if you bring the boys out, great opportunity for them, it can really help them. And my uncle said, sir, we greatly appreciate it, but we just don't have the money for anything like that at this moment. He said, Inky's mother, single mother, works a double shift at Wendy's. She ain't got no money to spare on no football league. Other 3, their fathers are in and out of the prison system. They don't got it to spare. Coach, without any hesitation, says, I tell you what, you bring them to the park tomorrow, I'll sign them up and I'll pay for it with my own money. I tapped my cousin's leg. I said, bro, you haven't even seen my spin move yet, bro. How the type of guy's this? He didn't even see my best stuff yet, right? And he hadn't even seen us play because when he pulled down the street, we were just standing on the sidewalk. And the next day we came to the park, he wasn't just paying for me and my 3 younger cousins to play ball. He was paying for kids all across Atlanta. Had his own business, already wildly successful. Didn't have to be a little league coach. He was doing it because of the reasons that you just spoke of. Like, man, I just want to give back and I just want to help. Man, I had a person when I grew up that did it for me. Man, I just want to do something for kids that can't, that parents may be in this position. It was the X factor. Impact, mission, purpose. It's incredible when a person taps into it, the results that one can get. He was doing it because of mission, impact, and purpose. But when I was in the hospital and people saw me bounce back, I think they got it misconstrued. I think some people thought, like, man, he handled that adversity and that injury, man, and he got through it. It was phenomenal. No. the same people was in the room. It didn't stop when I went to college. It didn't stop at a touchdown or interception. When I was in that room and I had these incisions in my body and I was crying and I was like, Coach, I'm sorry, man. I can't make it to the NFL and I can't pay you back. And he said to me, Inky, you thought I did what I did for you so you could make it to an NFL? I said, yeah, I thought that was part of it. He's like, man, I don't even watch the NFL. Fuck the NFL. It's like I did what I did so you could become a decent husband one day. So you could become a decent father one day, man. He said, I did what I did so you could finish what you started. Like if God bless you with the gifts, talents, and the abilities, so you can go out into the world and make a solid and decent impact. He said, the only thing I want from you is for you to use what you've been blessed with and go out and add value to every environment you go into and every person's life that you come in contact with. I said, got it, I could do that. And the next week I was in the sand pit with my teammates and my coaches. The next week I was in that facility. Guys would get up at 5 a.m. I'm up at 5 a.m. with a Dunjoy sling and a Velcro strap. That wasn't because I wanted to. That was because I had people behind me and in my life that saw things in me when I couldn't see it in myself. Right? I got a son that plays ball. And I got to be honest with you, it's the hardest thing for me. Right? It's the hardest thing in the world for me. As a former athlete, I was a graduate assistant coach for 3 years. It's the hardest thing in the world to me. Because you got so many cats that's driven by ego. Right? I told a cat last week, I said some of these cats are not coaches, they're great recruiters. Right? But they're not great coaches because when you talk about coaching, it's not just dealing with successes, it's also dealing with failure. When you talk about coaching, it's not just dealing with the moments to where you do well and everybody is praising you. It's about the moments that you don't do well when everybody doesn't want to be near you and a coach comes and say, hey man, that's a moment. You're better than that. Don't worry about it. Right? Picking them up in times of adversity and opposition. That's why my favorite quote in the world, Rod, is the quote by King that says, you judge the true character and caliber of a person not by where they stand in times of comfort and convenience. You judge the true character and caliber of a person by where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. Right? Every day I came into that weight room, I knew I wasn't just going to give everything I had. I knew I had cats behind me that was going to give me everything they had. Right? It's one thing to ask something of somebody. It's another thing when you give what you're asking for. Right? It's a lot of people that got expectations and standards that they don't even live up to themselves. And the worst thing in the world is a hypocrite. The worst thing in the world is a cat that wants you to operate on a standard that they don't even come close to. Right? The worst thing in the world is for a cat to tell you to do something that they don't even model. When I walked into that weight room. And when I saw him put that 4-5 on the squat rack, I was over there like, man, oh, my legs were shaking before I even got on the rack. But he made me believe that he believed I can do it, so I believed I could do it. Even if it almost broke my back, he made me believe that I could do it because of his level of belief. And so it was nothing for me to come in every single day and push forward and give everything I had. In my office, the award, I've been blessed to get a couple of awards. But the one that I'm most proud of is I got the John Stuckey Award at the University of Tennessee the year before my career ended. Lifter of the Year. Got it in my office right now. That's something I can always show my daughter, my son, and my family. That means I outworked everybody. That cat that came in pound for pound, 155 pounds, everybody don't get to John Stuckey. I mean cats that were 260, 290, cats that was bench pressing 455, 500. That means every single day we came to work, I gave them everything they was asking for and then some, and I outworked everybody. I got that trophy, right? You had to get it with blood, sweat, tears, dedication, and commitment, but you also had to get it with other people's belief in you when you couldn't see it in yourself. Like, I just want one thing from us, man. Like, we're all talented and skilled in different ways, right? Like, some of you guys can do what you do. Like, I'm talking about in so many ways. Like, it's beautiful, man. It's amazing, right? The skill sets that you guys got. I'm not one of these guys that travel around and try to tell people how to do what they do. I wouldn't disrespect you in that way. But I do understand this about life. People sell themselves short every single day and forget the true mission and purpose of why they signed up to do what they do. Right? The impact, human development, male development, female development, progressions. Right? Taking the game of sports and correlating it to the game of life. Right? Like I used to always tell my guys all the time, I can't let you quit on a wind sprint. They're like, Ink, it's a wind sprint. I'm like, no, if I let you quit on a wind sprint, you stand no chance at life, man. I can't let you tap out in an agility drill. This is a controlled environment. We're coming in, and after this agility drill, you're going to go over, they're going to give you a couple bananas, a couple oranges, somebody going to wash your jock strap, you might got air conditioning in your lock. This is as sweet as you'll ever have it. And so if I let you tap out in a facility, one day when you get blessed with a family, it's the whole notion of hate me now, love me later. I'm preparing you for something that's a lot greater than a sport. Sports is just a platform that the Creator has blessed us with. But when we start talking about real life, I love it when he said about weddings. I love that because every coach doesn't have that. Every coach doesn't have players calling them and saying, hey, coach, I'm getting married, man. I would love for you to come to my wedding. Every coach doesn't have that. Every coach doesn't get, hey, man, I'm having my first child. I would love for you to come see him. What's his name? His name is, every coach doesn't have that. Every coach doesn't have, hey, coach, man, I just purchased my first home. Cool, man, great. Every coach doesn't have that. Every coach doesn't get the call when a player gets cut, and they call him and say, hey, coach, man, I gave him my best effort. I got cut. Cool, I appreciate what you did for me. Every coach doesn't have that. Right? Those are the real true life moments. That's the essence of life. Right? My high school coach, I still talk to him every Monday until this day. My 8th grade coach, I still talk to him every Monday until this day. My Little League coach, I still talk to him every Monday until this day. They mean that much to me. They can get anything from me at any given time. Not because what they did for me in sports is what they did for me outside of sports. The X factor in life is when you see a young cat come on the campus, 155 pounds, and they slap 4 or 5 on the squat rack. And my man over there looking like, man, I know I can't do it. And the coach over there like, Ink, let's go, you up next, let's go, pound for pound, let's get it. That's the same spirit I carry with me until this day. People may forget what we do. People may forget what we say. But people will never forget the way we make them feel. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't burn out and quit because of what they do. People burn out and quit because life makes them forget why they do. My time, folks. Women, God bless you.